Kelly, thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about the race that you're in and where you're tuning into us from.
Wow, well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Dr. Kelly Semrad, and I'm running for Orange County District 5 Commissioner. That area includes everything from Maitland, College Park, Baldwin Park, downtown Orlando, Union Park area, UCF, Bithlo, Christmas, all the way out to the Brevard County line. It takes up about 2/3 of the entire county. So generally when people don't know what district they in, by default, they fall in District 5. It is a very diverse community. And I am running to stand up for our communities, to stand up for people's needs, and to advocate for some environmental protections.
You're absolutely right. That really is a huge community. I used to
Yeah.
live in Waterford Lakes for a long time. So, would Waterford have fallen into that area or is just outside of?
So Waterford is just outside of it, but it's that whole area. So that colonial area, Fairways, if you remember that senior citizen
Mhm.
community, it was right there. So yeah, so we're just outside of that, but it's bigger than most state representative
It
districts.
really is huge.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. And a lot of diverse communities, as you said, right? So what are the most pressing issues in that district?
So this has been really difficult during the campaign trail, where I have realized that the people's needs and desires and wants in, for example, Bithlo,
Are
are much different
completely
than
different
what you will see in Winter Park,
in the park. Completely
or
different. Yeah.
downtown Orlando is very different
Mhm.
than what you will see at the UCF area. And so
Mhm.
across the campaign trail, I've heard a lot of different needs, but if I looked at the two themes that just kept emerging, the first was is that our local economy is failing us. We have a tourism industry that, and I'm a UCF professor that specializes in tourism economies. So I understand what could be the potential benefits of having a tourism industry.
Mhm.
Um, Unfortunately, what we see are the negatives of what a tourism economy can bring, because it's basically where people are not benefiting from it. The private industry is benefiting from the tourism industry right now. So that was one issue: is our local economy is failing us. Things have become too expensive. There's lack of affordable housing. We've got the lowest wages in the nation. And then the other issue was really irresponsible growth and development, where we have seen that we continue building the wrong type of house. So it's more of the luxury end housing to provide for people that are moving here, but we're not building the right type of housing inventory for the people who are already currently here and in our community. So we have an affordable housing crisis because of it. We also have, unfortunately, property insurance and flood insurance that keeps going up and up and up, because we have developed so irresponsibly, where we filled in our wetlands. And now we've taken away Mother Nature's engineering system, and we're
Mhm.
incurring the cost of that. So those are the two really umbrella reasons that I see that we're all really struggling with, like common things like traffic jams because we overdeveloped, crowded schools because we overdeveloped, slow emergency response times because we overdeveloped. So, there's all these general issues across the whole big community, but ultimately it comes down to an issue of either the local economy is failing the community, or we have developed so irresponsibly that we don't have enough resources to support ourselves right now.
And I think that's what we've been hearing across the state as the
Mm-hmm.
common issues that are facing us. And you brought up a really good point. I hadn't thought of it in terms of we're building luxury, larger type homes to accommodate the people coming in and failing the people here who need
Yeah.
housing. That's I've never actually heard it in that way, and that makes so much sense. Yes,
Mhm. Yeah,
yes.
and locally here we have a 75% increase in homelessness. And I believe that homelessness is a policy decision. By failing to make the right policies, we are failing people that are facing really tough living conditions. But there are policies that we could put in place to help. that population. And it's really sad. You look in Orange County, we've got 10,000 school-age children right now that don't have a permanent home. They're unhoused. It doesn't mean that they're on the streets, but it means that they don't have a place to call their own home. So
A lot of people don't understand how many people live in hotels here. So they
yeah.
don't see them on the street, so they don't see the problem. But but if employers were to really talk to their employees, they'd figure out how many are living in hotels and living
Oh, yeah.
like
And
that. It's scary.
it's so sad because we have this tourism industry, right? And we've got so
Mhm.
many of the people that are actually unhoused right now do work in the hospitality industry,
Yes.
either in hotels or in restaurants. And we got a situation where the wages are so low that they're living out of the hotels, and
Mhm.
can't ever get ahead, yet they're carrying the local economy literally on their backs,
Mhm.
but can't even
Mhm.
afford to live in the community that they helped build and help sustain.
Yeah, and gosh, it is sad. I'm happy to hear that at least a lot more people that we've interviewed are actually talking about affordability and high cost of insurance being an issue. One of the state reps today talked about, of course, the condo assessment fees being
Mhm.
such a big deal, and that it just brings us around to talking to our listeners and our viewers about just the fact that you may not be representing their direct district, but the decisions a state rep makes affects the entire state.
Mhm.
All
Yep.
right. What are some of the things that you would wish you saw outside of even those core issues, which are huge ones, you saw come out of Tallahassee?
Mhm.
What would you
Yeah.
want to see that you just haven't seen at all, them collaborate to do?
What I want to see is people first policy. So what we see right now is a lot of policy that benefits private interests. I think some of the most terrifying legislation that came out of Tallahassee is that now it's going to be basically illegal to be homeless, or
Mhm.
illegal to be in poverty. So come October, we're going to begin to see that people who are on the streets with a backpack and a tent are going to be arrested for public camping. So
Mhm.
that's a atrocious bill, or seeing that, or hear, another form of legislation coming out that doesn't give breaks for people that are working in extreme heat. That's not something that'll be required. Um, Years ago, we were fighting for to get rent stabilization, because each year we
Mhm.
see that our rents are going up in Orange County 30%, and our salaries are most definitely not going up with it. And
Yeah.
right now, the biggest homeless population increase that we're seeing right now is what they refer to as a silver wave, because it's our senior citizens.
These are
It's those
seniors.
people who retired on a fixed income. They're in an apartment, or they're in a condo or a home, and cost of living has gone up, and they're being outpriced of their home because their rents are increasing, and they're not able to keep up. So, those are some of the really sad forms of legislation that have come out of Tallahassee. And when you have local governments like in Orange County through the Charter Review Commission, which governs our local county constitution here, you have a group of citizens that have the opportunity to amend the county constitution to meet the needs of the community.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you've got the state that's so fearful of having people first policies that what they do is they change state law to try to preempt the people from being able to vote in November. So in the instance of Save Orange County, where you have a relatively progressive county and you've got progressive legislatures that are really trying to do some good things, you get a state that is then literally changing state law so that Orange County residents can't vote on something to improve our quality of life.
Wow.
So that's really disturbing to see that local level interference like that, and it's not the way that we should be governing ourselves.
No, and well, I'm glad you brought it up because again, too often we understand the effects of something after it has fully happened, and it's so much harder to turn it back. But people really do need to understand that these things are happening, and your vote is your voice. You've got to help to figure this out and to stop it from happening. So that's a really good tie-in for even folks outside of Orange County, because we're of course based in Orange County, to listen to you and understand why the state reps that they're voting in other parts of the state, why it's important to understand where they stand,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and to hold them accountable. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because ultimately all of our political systems in Florida, they're all interrelated to each other and they feed each other. So what
mhm.
happens in one county eventually ends up impacting another. We're very are we cross being part of
Yeah.
this very economy, of Florida.
I want to go back to you talking about us living in a tourist area, and not really seeing the effects of the benefits of that as we should. What are some tangible things that you know of coming from this, being being a subject matter expert on this as well?
Yeah.
What are some concrete things? Because I certainly don't know, right?
Mhm.
I do know there's a large support of the arts, with some of the grants and stuff like that. And I don't know outside of that. You're right. What else happens, and
Yeah.
what
So
should be happening?
yes, about a decade now, I have been fighting to try to get what's called our tourism taxes. It's the hotel tax that when a tourist comes into the area, they spend a night in a hotel, they pay 6% sales tax in addition to our regular sales tax. That
Mm-hmm.
money is called our tourist development tax money, and it goes into a general pot.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the year, there's about $350 million in that pot of money, which means that it has about $900 million bonding power. So
Okay.
it's almost a billion, almost a
Mm-hmm.
billion dollars. And what we have done for years now, it's been more than 50 years since that tax was created. We always put it into industry projects. So, for example, a convention center expansion. And right now, our convention center is the second largest in the entire country, but it's empty. Its occupancy rate is relatively low. It's empty most of the year. So I
Okay.
have been advocating that instead of constantly putting the money into what I refer to as private subsidies, to support private corporations, that we should be also investing into our communities. So we should be doing community impact projects with it. That it also has to, of course, benefit the tourism industry because that's by state law what is required. But if we had a mass transit system that worked, tourists would
Mhm.
use it as well as would the locals. And it could
Mhm.
help us reduce our cost of living by eliminating the need to have cars and be so car dependent. It would also help get there's 75 million tourists that come here a year to Orange County. So we can get 75, not all of them drive cars, but a lot of them do. We can get those cars off of our roads
Mhm.
because as you know, our traffic is terrible. So it could help. It would help improve traffic. It would help save money, and it would take the tourists. And instead of just spending all their money on iDrive and at the theme parks, they could
Mhm.
go and do things like experience a local farmers market to feel what
Yeah.
our culture feels like here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we can
Yes.
increase the economic footprint of the tourist for small and medium businesses that are across all of Orange County instead of just the ones on iDrive.
Very true. Okay.
Mhm.
Very, very true. I love it. Okay. Anything else you would like to share? That was insightful. I am I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah. So it's one of the things that I've been fighting for with that. Also, like looking at using the money for affordable housing or workforce housing. Right now, we also have a major issue with the quality of our water. About 90% of our waterways right now are so polluted, they recommend that you don't touch the water. So that's not healthy for
Really?
us. I mean, yeah, so we've polluted ourselves pretty good. um, so, like looking at that, you've got communities that are in Bithlo that don't even have access to clean water right now. Wedgefield, way out on the eastern bounds of the county,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have water. Yet you get 75 million tourists who come here, and for some reason they can have access to our clean drinking water, but our community can't. You see
Wait, when you're
vulnerable.
saying water, you're meaning Batchfield is having a problem with clean drinking water?
Yeah, it's 9 times past like like the state threshold for contaminants.
Really?
Oh, it's really bad. It's so sad. It's a private water plant that's failing, and the corporation really can't be pushed to do anything because although the water quality is really bad, it still is acceptable. It's just poor quality. So they can't
Oh.
get them to legally do anything, but their property values are falling, and the water, while it's like really poor quality, they pay 3 times more than what any of us pay. So they're again, and then they have been rezoned to be in a flood zone, so their insurance went up in addition to their property
Oh,
insurance.
wow.
So what they're doing is like things with like really trying to not to conserve their water. They don't water lawns. They try to avoid flushing the toilet. They avoid taking showers or baths every day. And this is in Orange County, Florida. So I like look at how opposite that is, right? So
Mhm.
you've got people who are struggling to even have clean water, and you've got 75 million tourists who are coming in, sitting on iDrive, turning on the faucet and using our water, but we can't get it to our people. And what it's just it's so there's a lot of things, and I really think that one of the dangerous things that has happened in Orange County, we've become a company town. And what I mean by that is that we've got a lot of elected officials that have forgotten who they serve. People should be running for office to represent the people, represent their community, to advocate for people, and when necessary, to fight for people. And instead, what we see is constant legislation policy that is coming out where it puts the private interests first and the local people suffer. And so
Mhm.
I'm running to stand up against it. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm a college educator at UCF, and I don't even feel comfortable about graduating my students because there's unlivable wage jobs and very expensive places to live.
To live,
And
yeah.
so I think we deserve better. I think our next generations deserve better. I've got little kids. I don't want them to be, that's what the opportunities are for them. So I'm standing up, and I made a commitment at the beginning of the race. I wasn't accepting any special interest donations, and I maintain that commitment because I want it to be abundantly clear that I'm standing with the people and I'm standing up for our community and environment.
Well, that brings us to the part in the program where we say, ask our people what they need. What do you need from them? Because I'm sure you need donations, then grassroots donations. Talk to them about that.
All right. Yes. So please learn more about me. My campaign is kellysemrad.com. This is a grassroots campaign. So every minute matters. Like if somebody can donate time to do text banking, call banking, walk with us and drop literature off at doors, it makes so much of a difference. If you're short on time, just sharing social media posts it's at Kelly Semrad for Orange County is very helpful. Signing up for our email distribution, sharing news. And if you have the financial means, please go to kellysemrad.com and make a donation. The money goes to simply get our message out. I think we have the winning message. It's
Okay.
just that we need the funding to get it out.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and good luck in your race. Do you have any places in the community that folks can come out to find you? You're doing anything fun this weekend?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're canvassing, but are you at any events?
Yeah, we are. Well, this weekend we're actually running 4 canvases. We're not at any events, but all of the events we participate on, we put on our website at kellysemrad.com in the events tab. We've got meet and greets coming up, festivals, walking in the Pride Festival. So we're always out and about. So I hope to meet your followers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.